Hi there, Morgan here from Crafting a Lovely Life, and I'm so excited to show you today's project. Where are all of my Hocus Pocus lovers at? Because you are going to love what we are working on today. We are making this probably watching Hocus Pocus doormat, which is definitely what I will be doing most days for the next couple of months. Be sure to grab this free design on my website listed below so you can make this awesome Hocus Pocus doormat with me. Let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is open up a new project in Cricut Design Space. Then we can upload our design. Once your design is uploaded, you will need to resize it to fit on the 12 by 24 inch mat. I'm resizing the design to 11.5 inches wide. Next, we can attach the different parts of the design so they will stay together when we are cutting. To do this, we will need to select the entire design and click Attach. Now we can click Make It. We are also going to mirror the mat for this project, so click the mirror option. Click Continue and we can select the material type. We are using freezer paper for this project, so you will just need to select the Browse All Materials option and then search for freezer paper. Select it and then click Continue. Now we're going to place the freezer paper on a 12 by 24 light grip mat with the shiny side up. I highly recommend using the light grip mat for this project. It is very hard to get freezer paper off of the standard grip mat once it's been cut, so I don't recommend using it. Once you place the freezer paper on the mat, you can use the scraper tool to make sure there aren't any bubbles or creases in the paper. Then you can load the mat into your Cricut and start cutting. Once the Cricut is done cutting, unload the mat, but do not remove the freezer paper from the mat. We are going to weed the design while it is still on the mat. Now, because we are using the freezer paper as a stencil, we are going to be reverse weeding this design. This means we are taking the letters and stars off of the design and leaving the rest. I used my weeding tool to lift up the edges of the freezer paper I wanted to weed and then gently pulled the freezer paper away from the mat. Remember, you want to leave all of the inside parts of the letters on the mat. Do not weed them. Also, this material can tear easily, so please be careful when you are doing this part. Once you are done weeding, you can flip over the mat and gently start to peel off the freezer paper stencil. Just slowly work your way down the mat until all of the freezer paper is off of the mat. Leave the inside parts of the letters on the mat or you might get them mixed up later. Turn on your heat press and set the temperature to 315 degrees. The time setting doesn't matter much here because we are just going to heat each part of the freezer paper for a few seconds until it sticks. The freezer paper will be curled a bit when you pull it off of the mat, but you can now place it on the doormat and straighten it out as best you can. When you go to heat it, you should be able to straighten it out enough to get your heat press on it so it can stick down on the doormat. Don't worry about the inside parts of the letters yet. We are going to heat the bulk of the freezer paper before we add the smaller parts. I am super bummed because my camera ran out of battery and I had finished heating a bunch of the freezer paper before I realized it. Hopefully there's enough filmed here so that you can get a good idea of what I'm doing. You just want to start at one end of the design, straighten it out as much as you can, and then apply heat for about 5 seconds until it sticks to the mat. Then straighten out the next section of the design and apply heat. You continue that process until the entire design is stuck on the doormat. Do your best to get the design centered before you start applying heat. Then you can start to carefully take the inside letter pieces off of the light grip mat and place them on the doormat. Then apply heat to them to get them to stick. I had a hard time with some of the inside pieces being really curly, so I had to hold part of it down and then heat the other half, but just be careful not to burn your fingers if you have to do that. An Easy Press Mini would probably work a lot better for the smaller pieces if you have one of those you can use. Once you have all of the design adhered to the doormat, you can start painting. I'm using a black and purple outdoor acrylic paint for my doormat. It's very important that you also use a stencil brush for this part because you want to dab the paint onto the mat with the brush. So just up and down movements on the stencil to get all of the areas covered. I really enjoyed hand painting this doormat, but Flex Seal spray is another popular product to use for doormats. I also wanted the stars to be a different color, so I just thought hand painting it would be easier. I have seen others having a hard time with the smaller pieces and the letters blowing off of the mat when they use the Flex Seal spray, so if you go that route, just be sure to use push pins or something like that to hold down the smaller pieces before you spray. Also, you'll want to use that product outside in a very well ventilated area. Once you get the entire stencil covered with paint, you need to let it dry completely and then apply a second coat. Once the second coat was dry, I used Krylon UV resistant clear acrylic coating to protect the paint. Do not remove the freezer paper before you do this part. You only want the acrylic coating on the painted parts of the doormat, otherwise you'll be left with streaks of shiny coating on your doormat. I don't have a video of this part because I had to do it outside, but make sure you place the doormat on a surface you don't care about, like a big piece of cardboard, before you spray. Do not spray this stuff on your grass because it will damage it. Hold the bottle about a foot or so away from the mat and then spray an even coat over all of the painted areas. The acrylic coating should be dry to the touch in about 10 minutes, but you should wait to remove the freezer paper until about 5 hours after you've sprayed the acrylic coating. Then you can remove the freezer paper to reveal your awesome new doormat. I am always still so shocked when I see how well the freezer paper works as a stencil. I love how this Hocus Pocus doormat turned out, and I cannot wait to display it on my front porch this Halloween. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and get a chance to make your own doormat this Halloween. Be sure to subscribe below so you can follow along each week as I share new crafty projects. Don't forget to grab this free design and written tutorial for this doormat on my website listed below. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!